spinal cord. Spinal cord is the lower tubular part of the neural tube. This lies in vertebral canal, occupying almost upper two-thirds of the vertebral canal in an adult. Now, the spinal cord occupies almost whole of the vertebral canal during intrauterine life. Up to third month, it occupies whole of the vertebral canal. The rate of growth of vertebral canal and spinal cord, they are different. The spinal cord growing slowly than the vertebral canal. Therefore, it exceeds up. And at the time of birth, the lower end of the spinal cord, this lies at the level of lower border of third lumbar vertebra. And in an adult, this goes up to the lower border of first lumbar or the upper border of second lumbar vertebra. The extent of the spinal cord is from the upper border of posterior arch of atlas to lower border of the body of first lumbar vertebra. This is the normal extent. From upper border of posterior arch of atlas, posterior arch of atlas to lower border of the body of first lumbar vertebra. This may go up to the upper border of the second lumbar vertebra. The spinal cord is covered by meninges. The three layers of meninges are there, the dura, arachnoid and pia. They enclose spinal cord. Dura mater, arachnoid mater and pia mater. The dura and arachnoid mater, they extend up to the lower border of the body of second sacral vertebra. The subdural and subarachnoid space, they extend up to that level. Beyond that, the pia mater is there, and this fuses with rest of the two layers and extends up to the back of first piece of coccyx. Suppose this is the spinal cord. The lower end of the spinal cord tapers, and this tapering part is known as conus medullaris. Conus medullaris. Now this is covered by the pia mater, a very close covering around it. This is pia mater. Outside this, there will be arachnoid mater. This is arachnoid mater. Arachnoid mater. And outside this, there is the dura mater. Dura mater. This is dura. The pia mater extends down from the tip of conus medullary up to the back of first piece of coccyx. This is a band of connective tissue, and this is known as phylum terminate. This is phylum terminate. Phylum terminate. the dura and erectors, they cover it up to the first piece, up to the second sacral vertebra. Second sacral vertebra, like this. Beyond that, the phylum terminale or the band of the pia mater fuses with the dura mater and extends up to the back of first piece of coccyx. In this way, the upper part, upper 3/4 of the phylum terminale is enclosed by the subarachnoid space and subdural space, and beyond that the spaces have obliterated. The total length of phylum terminale is 20 centimeters. The upper 15 centimeters, from this point to this point, upper 15 centimeters. It lies in the subarachnoid space, and this is known as phylum terminale internum. Phylum terminale internum. And the lower 5 centimeter, this part, is known as phylum terminale externum. The total length being 20 centimeters. Upper 15 centimeter phylum terminale internum, lower 5 centimeter is phylum terminale externum. Now, the spinal cord is said to be cylindrical, but in true sense, this is flattened antero-posteriorly, and this shows two enlargements. The upper one is known as cervical enlargement, and the other one is the lumbar enlargement. Cervical and lumbar enlargement. The cervical enlargement is present in the upper part, and this extends from third cervical, C3, to second thoracic spinal segment. Third cervical to second thoracic spinal segments, cervical enlargement. The maximum width is present at the level of 6th cervical segment, C6. The lumbar enlargement is present at the level of T9 to T12 vertebrae. And maximum width is present at T12 vertebrae. And these are the parts from where the nerves for the upper limb and lower limb emerge. From the cervical enlargement, the nerve for the upper limb come out, and from the lumbar enlargement, the nerves for the lower limb. Now, the cavity of the spinal cord is known as central canal. In the center there is a cavity. This is the cavity, the central canal. In the conus medullaris, it expands and forms terminal ventricle. This part is known as the terminal ventricle. this further extends down and is present in upper 5 to 6 millimeters of the phylum terminal. This extends up to the phylum terminal. When it is traced up the central canal, this extends up to the lower half of the medulla. Lower half of the medulla oblongata. Now, there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. 31 pairs of spinal nerves. And the spinal cord from which a pair of spinal nerve comes out is known as spinal segment. In this way, there are 31 spinal segments. The meaning of spinal segment, suppose this is the spinal cord. The nerve emerges by a number of rootlets like this. In this way, this forms a nerve. Now, these two are the spinal nerve, a pair of spinal nerve. Suppose this part of the spinal cord from here to here, this part is known as a segment of the spinal cord. In this way, there are 31 segments. The nerves are 31 pairs, 8 cervical nerves, 8 thoracic, 12 lumbar, 5 sacral, 5 and coccygeal, 1. They are in pairs. They emerge on both sides. 8 pairs. Now coming to the external features of the spinal cord. When we take section of the spinal cord, transverse section. Suppose we take a transverse section somewhere over here. It appears like this. Now, ventrally, in the medial plane, there is a deep fissure. Deep fissure. This is known as anterior median fissure. This fissure is anterior median fissure. Posteriorly, there is a depression. This depression. This is known as posterior median sulcus. Posterior median sulcus. In the center, there is a central canal. Central canal. From the posterior median sulcus, septum of neuroglial cells extend almost up to the central canal, and this is known as posterior median septum. This part is posterior median septum. Posterior median septum. The anterior median fissure and anteriorly and posterior median sulcus and posterior median septum posteriorly, they divide the spinal cord into 2 equal halves. Now, on the ventral surface, lateral to the anterior median fissure, there is a point from where there is attachment of the ventral root of the spinal nerve. Ventral root. Ventral root of the, this is the ventral root. Ventral root of the spinal nerve. So the line of attachment of the ventral roots of the spinal nerve is known as anterolateral sulcus. Anterolateral. Anterolateral. Anterolateral sulcus. Likewise, posteriorly, at the line of attachment of the dorsal root, this one. This is known as posterolateral sulcus. Posterolateral sulcus. This is ventral root and this is the dorsal root. And this swelling over here is known as dorsal root ganglion. Now coming to the internal structure of the spinal cord. But before going to the internal structure, let us try to understand about the spinal nerves. The spinal nerve, they are attached to the spinal cord by roots, like this. And they come out of the vertebral canal through intervertebral foramen. Like this. Like this. Everywhere we get the nerves, and there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves, and since the spinal cord terminates at the level of the lower border of first lumbar vertebra, all the spinal nerves, they emerge from this region only, and they come out of the vertebral canal through the corresponding intervertebral foramen. Suppose the S3 spinal nerve has to come out. S3 segment will be somewhere over here, because the spinal cord is not extending up to the third sacral vertebra. S3 segment of the spinal cord will be somewhere over here. Suppose this is the S3 segment. S3 segment. The foramen is somewhere over here. Somewhere over here. This will pass like this and then will come out through the third foramen. In this way, in the lower part or in the region of filum terminale internum, the lower lumbar, all sacral and the coccygeal nerves, they emerge. They come out like this. And they form a bunch of nerves around the filum terminale. And this bunch is known as cauda equina. Cauda equina. Now coming to the internal structure. Internal structure of the spinal cord. Now, in the spinal cord, the grey matter is situated centrally, surrounded by white matter. The grey matter is in the form of letter H. This is on one side. Similarly, on this side also there will be this part is the grey matter. This part is the grey matter and this is white matter. White matter. The attachment of ventral root, the dorsal root. Now, the grey matter contains neuronal cell bodies. When we see the appearance of the grey matter, it is almost H-shaped. This central part is the horizontal limb. This is known as horizontal grey commissure. On either side, the vertical limbs. The vertical limbs. The ventral part of the grey matter expands. It becomes bulbous. And this is known as ventral horn. When we see spinal cord as a whole, the ventral horn appears as a column, and this is the anterior grey column. Anterior grey column. The ventral horn has got a base. This part is known as the base of the ventral horn, and this is the head. The dorsal horn is long and tapering, and this extends up to the surface. The ventral horn never extends up to the surface of the spinal cord, but the dorsal horn extends up to the surface of the spinal cord. This is long, tapering, and this has a base. This part is known as the base. This is the base, then the constriction, the neck. This expanded part is the head, and the tapering end is the apex. Base, neck, head, and apex. Now, what are the cells present in the ventral horn? Let us try to see the cells present in the ventral horn. This one. The ventral horn contains multipolar neurons. They are lower motor neurons. Multipolar lower motor neuron. The type of cells present in the ventral horn. Type of cells present in ventral horn. Large cells. There are some very large cells, more than 25 micron in size. They are alpha cells. Alpha. Alpha cells. They are present in this region. Large multipolar neurons, alpha cells. The fibers or the axons of these alpha cells, they come out, form the ventral root, and finally through the spinal nerve they go to supply the skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles. They go to the extrafusial fiber. I have told you the intrafusial fibers present in the skeletal muscles, they lie in between the muscle fibers, and the muscle fibers which are present in a muscle. They are known as the extrafusal fibers. And extrafusal fibers are supplied by the alpha cells. And they form a motor end plate on the surface of the extrafusal fibers. The second type of cells present, the first one is alpha. The second type known as the gamma. Gamma cells. Gamma cells, they are less than 25 micron in dimension, and they supply the intrafusal fibers. These fibers, they supply the intrafusal fibers. The third type of cells present is known as beta cells. The beta cells, they are intermediate in size and they supply both extrafusal and intrafusal fibers. Besides this, there are some in vitro cells, the Renshaw cells. Renshaw cells. The alpha cells gives collateral to Renshaw cell, and the fibers emerging from the Renshaw cell, they go to the same alpha cells and they have inhibitory influence on the alpha cells. Now these neurons, they aggregate and form nuclei. Let us try to understand what are the nuclei present in the ventral horn. The nuclei present in the ventral horn. There are medial group nuclei. Medial group of nucleus, medial group, they divide into two sets, and the fibers emerging from this supply the muscles of trunk and neck. The two groups are anteromedial and anterolateral. Anteromedial and posteromedial. Anteromedial and posteromedial. This is anteromedial and this is posteromedial group of nuclei. And the fibers which emerge from these nuclei, they supply the muscles of the trunk and the neck. Then there are lateral group. Lateral group. Lateral nuclei, they are subdivided into three sets: anterolateral, posterolateral and post-posterolateral. Anterolateral, posterolateral and post-posterolateral. The medial group of nuclei, they are present throughout the extent of the spinal cord, but the lateral group of nuclei, they are found only in cervical and lumbar enlargement. The third group is known as central. Central present somewhere over here. This is central nucleus. Central nucleus is not present throughout the extent of the spinal cord. There are some important nuclei related to this group. Phrenic nucleus. Phrenic nucleus is present in C3 to C7 segments. Cervical third to cervical 7 segments of the spinal cord, and they give rise to phrenic nerve. The second important type is accessory spinal. Accessory spinal nucleus. Accessory spinal nucleus is present in upper 5 or 6 cervical spinal segment. Upper 5. Upper 5 cervical segments. Upper 5 cervical segments, and they give rise to spinal part of accessory nerve. Accessory nerve is 11 cranial nerve having two parts, the spinal part and the cranial part. The spinal part emerges from the central group of nuclei located in upper 5 cervical spinal segments. The third set is lumbosacral. This is present in L3 to S1 segment. Third lumbar to first sacral segment. The function of this group of nucleus not very clear. Therefore, in the ventral horn, 3 sets of nuclei are there. This is the medial group. The medial group of nuclei divided into two parts, anteromedial and posteromedial. They are present in whole extent of the spinal cord, and they supply the muscles of trunk and the neck. Then the lateral group, they are present in cervical and lumbar enlargement. They are meant for the muscles of the upper and lower limb. They are subdivided into 3 nuclei, subnuclei, known as anterolateral, posterolateral and posterolateral. And the central group of nucleus is also not present in all the parts of the spinal cord. There are some important nuclei. The phrenic nucleus is present in 3rd cervical to 7 cervical spinal segments. They give rise to phrenic nerve, which will supply the diaphragm. Then accessory spinal nucleus, this is present in upper 5 cervical spinal segment, and this gives rise to the spinal part of accessory nerve. And then the third group is known as lumbosacral, present in 3rd lumbar to 1st sacral spinal segment. The function of this group of nucleus is not very clear. Now coming to the dorsal horn. The nuclei present in the dorsal horn. Dorsal horn. dorsal horn nuclei. Number one, a nucleus is present at the apex of the dorsal horn, known as substantia gelatinosa. Substantia gelatinosa. This is present in this region. Substantia gelatinosa. And this is separated from the surface of the spinal cord by a tract. A tract is present in this region, known as the dorsolateral tract. Dorsolateral tract. And this is the substantia gelatinosa. And when we trace substantia gelatinosa up, this becomes continuous with the spinal nucleus of fifth cranial nerve. Due to this, we get a large nucleus, the nucleus proprius. This forms the main bulk of the dorsal horn. Nucleus proprius. Nucleus proprius. Then, at the base of the dorsal horn, on the medial side, there is a nucleus which sometimes forms a bulge on the surface of the grey matter, this part. This is known as nucleus dorsalis. Nucleus dorsalis. Nucleus dorsalis or Clark's column cell. Clark's column cell. This is also known as nucleus thoracicus. Clark's column cell. This is present in C8 to L3 segments of the spinal cord. On the lateral side of the base, in this region, there is a nucleus. This is known as visceral efferent. Visceral efferent related to the autonomic nervous system. For the sympathetic, present from first thoracic to second lumbar segment, and for parasympathetic is to 3, 4 segments. Now, there is an intermediate zone also, which separates the dorsal horn from ventral horn. This is the intermediate zone. In the intermediate zone, there are cells, and these cells, they are related to autonomic nervous system, motor in type. In T1 to L2 segments, T1 to L2 segments, the intermediate part of the spinal cord bulges laterally to form a lateral horn. In this part, T1 to L2 segments, this will bulge laterally. Like this. This is the bulge. This is known as lateral horn. This is present in T1 to L2 segments. and the cells present in this region are intermedio, this part, intermedio lateral and intermedio medial group. This is the intermediate region. In T1 to L2 segment, the intermediate region forms a lateral bulge known as a lateral horn, and the nuclei present in this region are intermedio lateral and intermedio medial. The intermediate lateral group, they give out sympathetic fibers which run along the ventral root like this. Sympathetic fiber. The intermediate medial group, some of the fibers, they also give rise to sympathetic fibers, but most of the cells present in intermediate medial group are internuncial neurons. In sacral S2-3-4 segment, there is no lateral bulge, no lateral horn, but the cells present in this region, they give out parasympathetic fibers. Parasympathetic. Lateral horn is present in T1 to L2 segment. In S2-3-4 segment, no lateral horn. But the fibers emerging from the intermediate group of nuclei present in S2-3-4 segment, they give rise to parasympathetic fibers. The grey matter is situated in the center, and at the periphery there is white matter. What happens to white matter we shall discuss in the next class.